time. It's very repetitive. It's very annoying, but sometimes I can offer something, here while we're waiting of value, but most of the time there's not a lot of value in what I'm saying here. But we'll get started. There's the notification. YouTube is ready to go. So let me jump over to YouTube really quick. Come on. Oh, no. Okay, good. All right. I saw some notifications on YouTube. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Someone's going to be causing some trouble today, but hopefully that's not the case. There's the notification. YouTube is ready to go. We sound okay on YouTube. Go to community. Turn that off. All right, now jump back over to sermon audio. Go here. There we are. Hit play. Okay, but hopefully that sounds okay. That sounds okay there. All right. Everything's working good. Now let's see if the map's working and the analytics. Probably not. Looks like everything is dead. Okay. So no one is listening to me today. That's wonderful. Okay, now that just means the map is not working, and that's okay. If you are tuning in, thank you so very much. I greatly appreciate it. Oh, all of a sudden the map is working. So Colorado, thank you for tuning in. Man, when was the last time someone from Colorado tuned in? I don't remember. So thank you very much. It's probably someone who listens somewhere else who's in Colorado. That's going to be my guess today. All right. So we'll get started here in a minute. I hope this goes relatively well. I'm going with kind of that impromptu feel versus all of it mapped out, because that's how this originally was designed. So I'm going to try to keep that feeling in mind, but okay. All right. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, we go live to have a conversation where I'm going to make some people probably upset. All right, but here we go. But I think it's a question that we need to discuss. So we'll see. Are you ready? We go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is Monday, August the 25th, 2025. It is currently 12:41 p.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the Theology Central studio located right here in Abilene, Texas. Now, I know that summer 2025 is fast approaching. Is it going to be a dramatic end, or is it just going to be, one day turns into another day, and then summer is kind of behind us, and then we move into the fall? I mean, in some ways, we kind of measure time, but, we could get into a whole philosophical discussion about time. I will not do that, but we know summer 2025 is fast approaching its end, which tells me that the end of the year is fast approaching as well. Before you know it, 2025, goodbye. Just kiss it goodbye. There's no going back. It's over. It's just going to be another year gone. And then, you're 1 year closer to your death. Okay. All right. Not to get philosophical about that, but it does tell me something. Tells me that we have spent a good portion of this year talking about artificial intelligence, because that's been one of the series that we have worked on throughout 2025, is talking about AI and the future of the church. And within that series, we've talked about artificial intelligence in lots of different ways. And I mentioned AI frequently, constantly, doing sermon reviews. In many cases, I will be checking AI to verify things. So AI has really become a part of this podcast in every way possible. And as you know, I say it frequently, I'm on Team AI. If it comes down to humanity or AI, I'm going with AI, ladies and gentlemen. Artificial intelligence, if you're listening to this, I'm on your side. I'm not on the side of the people. I'm on the side of artificial intelligence. Now, in some ways, I'm joking, but I say that in somewhat of a hyperbolic way to try to make a point. Some people get when I'm using that hyperbole, some people don't. But I say that because I'm constantly pushing back against the criticisms and the the negativity and AI is of the devil and AI is evil and I'm never going to use AI and AI can't do this and AI can't do that and all this and it's like, all right, it just drives me crazy. So I tend to be more pro AI than maybe others. And I got no problem with it. I think AI is one of the most amazing things ever. I absolutely am blown away by it. I use artificial intelligence all the time. And so I am fascinated by the technology. I know it's not perfect. I know there are imperfections. And I've talked about that, if you're going to use AI, you've got to learn how to use it. And I think right now, the big push should be, AI literacy. I think there's a lot of illiteracy when it comes to AI and people not really understanding it and just seeing it as some kind of supercharged Google search or as what did I think one of the articles that we were criticizing, kind of a souped up Cliff Notes, whatever the world that means. And I think when you use AI and you learn how to use it and you learn how to, in a sense, kind of work with it, I think you begin to see what it can do. You will immediately be confronted with its limitations, but that's all technology has limitations. But just imagine where it is today and where it will be in 2026 and where it will be in 2027 and where it will be in 2028. And so I tend to be on that team. So when I see articles that are somewhat negative, I have a tendency to, and in fact, many cases, just very impromptu, I just react. I immediately turn on the microphone like, let's discuss this. So we're having a discussion about artificial intelligence. In this case, what we're really having a discussion about is wisdom versus AI, because the article that sparked all of this kind of put forth this idea, maybe not explicitly, or maybe it was explicitly, that basically, hey, technology, AI, it cannot teach wisdom. It can't do that. AI can't. We can teach wisdom, but AI cannot do that. And I'm very suspicious of such a claim. I'm like, because my feelings is that human beings have been trying to teach wisdom for as long as human beings have been on the planet. And I don't think I don't know, there's no agreement on how you should do it. There's not even agreement on, is this wise or is this wise? And if you look at, I think most of humanity, I don't think we look at humanity and go, that's a group of wise people. So why can we not communicate wisdom? If only humans can communicate and teach wisdom, then how come we haven't done a better job of it? We can have lots of discussions about that. So in my view, humans, you've had your run, you've had your chance. You failed, so now let's see what AI can do in regards to wisdom. But others are not of that mindset. So an article found at thegospelcoalition.org, you can go there right now, look for it, The Gospel Coalition, all run together, thegospelcoalition.org, an article published on August the 20th, 2025, with this headline, do not hand education over to AI. Don't you dare hand education over to AI, because humans have done such a great job with education. Don't we always complain about the educational institutions turning out kids who are illiterate or kids who cannot think and kids who don't have the ability to look at things logically? Aren't we always criticizing education? But hey, don't hand it over to AI. I mean, humans may have messed it up constantly, but don't hand it over to AI, because this is our area of expertise to mess up. Okay, whatever. But I was like, let me look at the article. So in part 1, we reviewed a section of this. I'm going to read the section really, really quick and just remind you of a few points. And then we're really going to dig into kind of my pushback here. All right. So the article begins, for nearly 3 decades, the author speaks of themselves. I've worked in Christian education, leading schools in Boston, Missouri, and Illinois. Increasingly, I'm fielding questions about the place of technology and K through 12 schooling. Now, just remember, this is a person who works within education, who works within Christian education. So at least the opening paragraph lets the reader know this person is coming at this from a very specific perspective. And let me say, obviously very biased. Because obviously they're going to be pro-Christian school, pro-humans teaching education. And AI could be a threat to that entire institution. Right? The entire educational system says, hey, you need us. I mean, everyone does that. Public schools claim that you need them. Homeschooling claims that that's the better way. Because there's an industry behind all of it. There's the Christian school industry. There's the homeschool industry putting out curriculum. Lots of money to be made there. The public school needing children there to get the tax money. Everything has motivations to say that we do it better than everyone else and you need us. So everyone has that bias. And anything that will disrupt that industry is going to be considered the enemy and going to be considered suspect. Now, I know that's looking at it in a very jaded way, but I think there's truth to that. That's my own personal feelings, okay? But the next paragraph is, the question often presupposes that technology is beneficial. How, and so just please note, he doesn't necessarily, if someone asks about technology in school, then he looks at that as someone who's already presupposing that technology is beneficial. Does he not believe it's beneficial? So he goes on to kind of say how people address this. How will my children master the new technology they'll need in a fast-moving world? Won't they fall behind if they're not using AI in kindergarten? Don't we need to equip them with screens and tablets? How else will they be successful in a good college or find a good job? As a Christian educator, let me share a few principles that can help us think wisely about technology. So he put forth these questions that people ask that presupposes that they think that technology will be beneficial. He comes at it and says, okay, now what we need to do as a Christian educator, so he's putting forth that he has supposedly some area of expertise. And he says, now here are some principles that can help us think wisely about education. Now, my immediate question is, wait a minute, why is your perspective the wise way to think about education? Who made you the Pope of wisdom? Hey, I'm going to give you some principles so that you can think wisely about education. And what does that mean? You have to think like me if you want to be wise. Because if you go against the principles I'm about to give you, then the implication is that's unwise. Well, then call me unwise because I don't necessarily agree with any of your, well, maybe some of your principles, but I'm already pushing back. And remember, the first one he gave us was this. Technology can be used judiciously to find knowledge, but not to teach wisdom. So we can use technology, but we have to do it judiciously. Now, it's interesting. Just think of the funny part here. I'm using technology to even read this article, right? I'm using an iPad on the internet to go to the website. So just even to access his principles of wisdom, I need technology to be able to access it. All right, okay. I just find that somewhat humorous. It's like when people are like, the internet is a bad thing. The internet is garbage. The internet is a wasteland. And I'm listening to them preach that on the internet. These stupid kids spend 50 hours looking at their phones. And I'm like, how am I listening to you? I'm looking at a tablet. So should I get rid of the tablet so I can't? Why are you posting why do you have an app? Why is your sermons posted on an app? If you think all these stupid people looking at their phones all the time, whenever a preacher say that, I want to say, and you know how I was listening to you? So I don't know about technology. But I'm gonna post my information online where people use technology to access my information. Come on, no one else sees the absurdity in that? Okay, come on. It's like when if I go to a Yahoo News article that'll be about social media, within the Yahoo comments, it'll always be like, social media is garbage. It's a wasteland. It makes people stupid. And I'm like, you're using the Yahoo comment section, which is a form of social media, because you're posting something and then people are responding to your post. So you're saying that you're going after social media where you're using a form of social media. It's always older people who never seem to catch on. Let's put our sermons online and then condemn the internet. Okay, well, look, what? I don't get it. All right. Well, let's look at this. So, to be wise, we have to agree with this guy who wrote this article. And if I'm going to be wise, then I need to use technology judiciously, simply to find knowledge. But we're not to use technology to teach wisdom. No, that's crossing the line. That's crossing. I'm using West Texas. We're crossing the line. Okay, no, it's crossing the line. Here is what they say. And I read this yesterday. I'm just going to read it quickly, all right? It's possible that AI can be used as a tool to help children become wise. All right, so they start off at least sounding positive. It's possible that AI can be used as a tool to help children become wise. But if it can, it'll be used by parents and teachers who were themselves formed through a time-tested process of education, a prerequisite for helping others do the same. So he tries to acknowledge AI could be used to help children, but if it's going to be used, it's going to be done so by parents and teachers who themselves were properly educated and properly trained in a time-tested process. So there is a time-tested process. So in other words, you could use AI, but that's going to require people who are properly trained to use AI to help the kids learn wisdom. So the roundabout way is, well, you don't really need AI. You just need this time-tested process that taught the parents so that you could just use that to teach the kids, and then you don't need AI. It's kind of where the argument is going there. AI in the hands of a school-aged child is like sitting a 10-year-old in an Indy car and asking him to steer the track. His feet may reach the gas pedal, but there are lots of ways it can end badly. The most common wreckage results from using AI like a souped-up version of Cliff Notes and a fraudulent shortcut to genuine learning. Now, it's like, hey, don't use AI as a fraudulent shortcut to genuine learning. There have been so-called fraudulent shortcuts to genuine learning for as long as learning has been occurring, right? I don't even know about that criticism, but then they go on. Then basically he goes on to I'll just summarize. Hey, computers came along and that wasn't a good thing. And so what we basically need to do is we need a good Christian school, classical education, where we basically don't use technology, but yet you turn out kids that are basically perfect. And it's like, well, but it doesn't offer any actual statistical evidence to prove his point, but that's okay. So basically AI, AI can't teach wisdom. I mean, I'm just kind of overly simplifying it. You can go read the article for yourself and you can listen to me read the entire section that I'm referring to. Now, he goes on to say other things, but for me, I just want to use the article to get to this discussion about wisdom and AI. So what I did is I gave the article to artificial intelligence. It had its own it was pretty fair. It gave the strengths of the article, but it did offer some critique. I thought its critique was too nice and not blunt enough. So I kind of pushed back and I stated this. This is my words to AI. I think my frustration is that the article seems to imply AI and technology cannot teach wisdom. Number one, AI has access to basically all the combined wisdom accumulated in human history, and it can pull from it, recall it, and share it within seconds. So if you're going to say AI can't teach wisdom, well, wait a minute. AI has access to the entire accumulated treasure house of human wisdom, and it can look at it, share it, access it, and do it all within seconds. So I don't know. If humans have the corner on wisdom, well, AI has access to all of that wisdom. If we understand wisdom, depending on how we define wisdom, right? Number two, is wisdom taught via a certain teaching method. In other words, when you say, well, okay, AI can't teach wisdom, okay, so then AI is only taught through only certain people. Like, how are we limiting it? Number 3, can wisdom ever truly be taught? I think that's the real philosophical question I have. Can you really teach wisdom? Can't you teach principles about your view of wisdom, but you can't actually teach wisdom? Can wisdom be taught? You can teach ideas and teach principles, but AI can teach those same ideas and same principles, can it not? So AI then responds to my pushback. AI says this: AI and the accumulated wisdom of humanity. AI can instantly access and synthesize the writings, reflections, and teachings that humans have historically recognized as quote unquote wisdom. Scripture, philosophy, proverbs, case studies, literature, and on and on and on. In that sense, AI is a uniquely powerful delivery system of wisdom tradition. So AI is like, look, at the very least, you have to be able to say AI can be a powerful delivery system of the entirety of human wisdom. It can deliver it to people and however you want it delivered. I can ask for daily lessons in wisdom from AI, and every day it will give me a lesson about wisdom or something that's supposed to lead me to wisdom. In fact, we're going to be doing some testing on that very concept at some point in this ongoing discussion about wisdom and AI. AI then says counterpoint. The article, referring to the article that I was just referencing, equates possessing wisdom with imparting wisdom. Knowing when and how to apply knowledge, then AI's access to accumulated wisdom doesn't necessarily mean it embodies or transmits wisdom in a lived way. The distinction is between source versus embodiment. So AI says, okay, the article makes an argument that basically AI cannot embody wisdom, and it seems to imply that you have to embody it in order to be able to transmit it. But there's no denying AI can transmit wisdom and principles of wisdom. It cannot embody it. So are you saying someone has to embody wisdom before they can impart wisdom? So then what you have to do is if you're going to go to a school, because he talked about basically all the teachers have to demonstrate they have wisdom. Now if you've been alive for any length of time, there's plenty of teachers who were smart. I don't think they embodied wisdom. In fact, many of their life actions would demonstrate the opposite of, even within Christian schools, even behind pulpits. So are you saying, hey, AI can't teach wisdom because wisdom has to be embodied in order for it to be imparted or taught? So then you would have to then go to every person who's going to teach you and then try to determine how much wisdom they have. And what test is there to determine the amount of wisdom someone has? When you're hiring your teachers, do you find it in their application? They prove they have wisdom? And what about homeschooling? Do all parents just embody wisdom and so therefore they should be teaching their kids? If AI can't do it, well then your argument is AI can't do it because it can't embody wisdom, but how many people actually embody wisdom? AI goes on to say AI cannot teach wisdom is too absolute. It can certainly mediate wisdom by bringing the best of human reflection before a learner in ways no human teacher can. Whether that becomes true wisdom in the learner depends on other factors. So what AI is like, hey, you can't be so absolute, say AI can't do it, because again, we just already looked at some of the logical fallacies. If you're saying AI can't do it because it can't embody wisdom, then the only people who can supposedly impart wisdom are people who embody it. Well, then you'd have to determine who embodies it and who doesn't embody it and who gets to make that determination. That just leads to all kinds of logical problems. Right? And not only that, AI is like, hey, I can mediate wisdom by bringing the very best of human reflection before a learner in ways a teacher cannot, because it can do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time. But now here's the key factor I thought AI was brilliant pointing out. Whether that information about wisdom that I can present to someone becomes true wisdom inside the learner is dependent on other factors. Now, is that not true everywhere, right? I mean, Christians tend to say Proverbs is the greatest source of wisdom available on earth. That's typically the way it's almost presented. Well, if that's the case, how many churches have done series on Proverbs, and the people in the pew are no wiser than what they were when they started? Does simply teaching Proverbs make someone wise? Does getting the top 20 principles of wisdom ever put together in human history and imparting those principles, does it make people wise? Can you even impart wisdom? Parents try to impart wisdom into their kids. Does it work? AI goes on to say, is wisdom taught via a certain teaching method? Now, the author of the article seems to assume wisdom is cultivated only through traditional methods: Socratic questioning, great books, embodied mentorship. These methods do matter because they emphasize formation, not just information. But I would stop right there and go, wait a minute. If these are the traditional methods, Socratic questioning, AI can do that. There's literally chatbots out there that will just approach you every day from a Socratic questioning method. And you'll say, okay, what's the topic for today? AI will give you a topic and then engage you for as long as you want the conversation to go in a Socratic way. It will offer questions. You give answers. It will respond. It will challenge. It will debate you. So AI can do the Socratic questioning better than any teacher I have ever sat under, no matter if it was from kindergarten to high school to college to university to seminary to Bible college to Bible Institute. Nobody has ever done the Socratic method better than what AI does for me whenever I want it to do, 24/7. And I don't have to get $27,000 in debt for a degree. Great books? Well, wait a minute. Great books at one point would have been considered modern technology. So we can use great books. We just can't use AI. AI can. Books can do it, but AI can't. Who came up with that idea? You needed the printing press, which was technology, to get the books. Now, embodied mentorship. Now, that's true. AI cannot have embodied wisdom, but AI does serve as a mentor. Does serve as a partner and a companion because you chat with it all the time. And it goes back and forth. You say, well, AI sometimes gives wrong information. And those supposed wise mentors known as human beings never give you flawed misinformation. AI goes on to say, throughout history, wisdom has been taught in very diverse ways. Storytelling, parables, written proverbs, apprenticeship, mentorship, even through warnings of other people's failures. Why should digital mediation be excluded from this? If all these other methods can be used, then why can't technology be used? Why can't AI be used? Who just gets to determine? All these other methods were great, but because I guarantee there would have been a time that those methods would have been called into question. If wisdom requires comparison, reflection, and application, AI can aid those processes by, number one, laying multiple perspectives side by side, and AI can do that. Here's 5 different perspectives. Here's how this perspective developed throughout history. Here are the major proponents of said perspective. AI can give me all of that in 5 seconds. AI will challenge your presupposition if you definitely train it to. I'm constantly telling AI, challenge me, question me, tell me if I'm wrong. All I care about is facts. All I care about is logic. All I care about is truth. I don't care if it goes against anything I believe. Be aggressive with me. I'm constantly begging AI not to just tell me I'm right. AI can ask counter questions like the Socratic method, and it does it very, very well. Especially, I don't know which chatbot I was using for the Socratic method, but it was, man, sometimes I would sit there and it would just go on and on. Like the debate and the back and forth would go on for hours. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. Connecting personal experiences with larger tradition. What does that mean? I can go to AI, share with it a personal experience, personal anything, and I can ask it, how does this experience fit with larger traditions when it comes to wisdom? How would they interpret this experience? How should I understand? And it can do that. So in a sense, AI is a teaching method. It's just a new teaching method. And for some reason, it's older people who are like, it's of the devil. What is this newfound thing called fire? Let's put this fire out. I don't know what it is. Who made an organ? It's an instrument of the devil. A guitar, what is that? Electricity, it's a work of the devil. It's witchcraft. A TV, what are these weird pictures being beamed into my house? I know I'm being a little sarcastic, but sometimes it's just ridiculous. AI is just as much as a teacher and can follow specific teaching methods as a teacher can. But then here comes the question, and AI brings this up. Can wisdom ever truly be taught? Now, that's really what I want to focus on in this episode. Do you think wisdom can be taught? Now, if you say wisdom can be taught, and what you mean by that is that you can just teach wisdom principles or ideas, well, then AI can do the exact same thing. Do you think those preachers who teach supposed points of wisdom, you usually can track down where they got their points from? You can probably find it in a commentary, find it in a sermon, find it in a book, because they're pulling from something else and they're teaching ideas that they can, or they're just teaching their opinion of what they think is wise. Like this article. He's giving us what he thinks is the wise way to think about education. But what makes his way the wise way when I could offer a counter way? Why isn't my way the wise way? Who gets to say which is the wise way? AI says this: wisdom has always been slippery. Proverbs, the beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom, and whatever you get insight. Now I'm going to check something. Because we do know that sometimes AI has hallucinations. So when it quotes something, I always tell it to verify the quotes, but I did not tell it to verify anything in this particular answer. So, Proverbs 4:7, I'm reading from the King James. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. So, the Bible, what AI is going to make an argument using Proverbs 4:7, the Bible implies that wisdom must be sought, not simply transferred. In other words, I can't just transfer wisdom to someone. I have to seek wisdom. So really, is wisdom taught or is wisdom sought? Ooh, that's good. Is it taught or is it sought? Is it something can be given or it's something that has to be searched for? And it's funny that AI pulled in scripture to try to make that point. This is what AI says. Here's the reality. This is a reality according to AI, so let me make it very clear. All right. Teachers Parents or AI can present the raw material of wisdom. It can present stories. It can present moral reasoning. It can present examples. It can present comparisons and contrast. But wisdom itself requires the learner to internalize it. So in one sense, wisdom cannot be taught in the same way multiplication tables can. It is cultivated, it is invited, or provoked into being. I can teach you multiplication tables, if I can even say the word. I can teach you how to multiply. I can teach you 1 + 1 is 2, right? And you can just get that. You don't have to really even understand it. You just know 1 and 1 is 2. I can teach you, what words are, right? You don't have to necessarily understand everything about it. I can teach you how to turn on a TV. Doesn't mean you have the wisdom and how it all works, right? You can be taught principles and facts and information, and many of that can be easily retained. You don't even have to do much. You don't even have to care to retain it. There's things you were probably taught in school that you could care less about, but you still remember to this day. But wisdom, you have to seek it. You have to invite it. You have to cultivate it. You have to, in a sense, there's something the learner, and in many cases, some learning is passive. You have to be within the general area. The words are taught. You may be given assignments, and in many ways, you're just going to catch this information whether you care or not. Wisdom is not like that. Wisdom, you can have you could have two people, you could teach principles of wisdom to two people. One person, whatever, they may even memorize the points, but it's the second person who thinks about it, meditates on it, chews on it, struggles with it, fights themselves with it, argues with themselves with it. Then that information starts becoming turned into something other than information. It now becomes what we would refer to as wisdom. So then AI reverts back to the article that I told you about. The article is partly right. No tool guarantees wisdom. But guess what? No teacher guarantees wisdom. No school guarantees wisdom. No teaching method guarantees wisdom. Nothing guarantees wisdom. But its conclusion, the article, should have been neither AI nor classical education can force wisdom. Both serves as a means. But wisdom must ultimately be received. It must be embraced. It must be practiced by the learner. The learner determines if that knowledge becomes wisdom. No school. No. As a parent, you can lecture your kids 75 hours a day about think wise about this, make wise decisions. You're giving them the principles, and that's a good thing. What they do with those principles is, who knows? And we have to remember this. Take our sinful nature. Our sinful nature, that is still there even after conversion. Is that sinful nature wise, at least from a theological, biblical perspective? No, it's unwise. It is foolish. It is self-seeking. It does not fear God. It hates God and loves sin. And our very base nature, we are unwise and we are fools. In our nature. So all the lecturing about wisdom can't change that nature, and nothing is going to change that nature until glorification, because we still have that nature. And if you claim we don't have that nature, then you're the fool and you're unwise, because facts demonstrate that we still have the nature, because no one can stop sinning. Saying AI cannot teach wisdom ignores how it can bring students into contact with the greatest wisdom traditions more quickly and richer than ever. The deeper question isn't can AI teach wisdom, but can wisdom even be directly taught at all? And if the answer is no, then AI isn't uniquely disqualified. It simply is another tool among many. And guess what? When it comes to teaching wisdom, people are a tool to do it. Technology is a tool to do it. Books are a tool to do it. Stories, parables, even movies can impart wisdom if you analyze what the message is being said, what's being said. What matters is whether teachers, human or technological, cultivate reflection, humility, discernment, and application in learning. And I think AI will cultivate reflection if I ask it to cultivate reflection, and it will make me humble because it will tell me when I'm wrong, and it tries to challenge my discernment, and it will give me points of application. So maybe we should say it this way. Wisdom can't be taught like information, but it can be cultivated through encounter, reflection, and application. AI, just like books, just like mentors, serves as a powerful aid in the process, though never a substitute for the learner's own pursuit and transformation. So then I pushed back and I said, okay, AI. I said, but when someone talks about teaching wisdom, number one, aren't they just giving information? Number two, aren't they simply telling the learner, this is wisdom? However, is there any agreed upon idea on what wisdom is and what wisdom isn't, and what is wise and what isn't? So AI says, when someone teaches wisdom, aren't they just giving information? Yes, at one level, a teacher can quote Proverbs, cite Socrates, or summarize Aristotle's ideas, but in that act, they are simply passing along information about what has been called wisdom. But wisdom differs from raw information because it carries kind of a weight of evaluation, of making some type of evaluation. It's not just what is, but what ought to be. Wisdom involves making judgments about right living, prudence, meaning, and ultimate ends. Example, AI says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Is not a neutral data point. It's a claim that a certain posture towards God is foundational. So in other words, they're trying to say wisdom is something more than just knowing. And I agree that wisdom is something more than just knowing. That's why I don't think it can actually be taught, because you can teach the knowing, but for the knowing to become wisdom, something else has to happen that I can't do for you and you cannot do for me. So when it comes to teaching wisdom, information is presented. Stories, proverbs, examples. AI can do that. In fact, do it better than people. Interpretation is supplied. This is wise. This isn't wise. But guess what? When you say this is wise or this isn't wise, you're doing so based on what you think is wisdom. AI can say, well, this tradition says this is wise. This tradition says you're stupid. AI can give me all the different views on who says it's wise and who doesn't, and who says it isn't wise. So teaching wisdom almost always amounts to teaching about wisdom, while the formation into wisdom depends on practice, reflection, and the learner's own desire and condition. Is there any agreed upon idea on what is wise and what isn't? AI says there is overlap, but also massive divergence. And it names a lot of the different traditions: Stoic detachment, Christian sacrificial love. Wisdom is partly tradition dependent. Scripture claims that there is an ultimate grounding. Christ is the wisdom of God. From this perspective, true wisdom isn't merely pragmatic life skills, but alignment with God's revelation in Christ. That's a theological anchor, though not universally agreed upon outside the faith. And if Christ is the wisdom of God, then to pursue wisdom is to pursue Christ, and to have Christ is to have wisdom. All right, we could get into a theological discussion there. In a classroom or cultural setting, wisdom is usually shorthand for culturally approved prudence. Let me state that again. Many cases, when people refer to wisdom, that's their shorthand for saying culturally approved prudence. We think in our culture, in our upbringing, that this is wise, this is prudent. This is how to live well. This is how to avoid folly. This is how to flourish. But this always smuggles in assumptions, whose definition of flourishing and whose moral vision. When the parent says this is the wise thing to do based on the parent's idea of wisdom, that child may grow up and when they're 30 going, you know what, your ideas of wisdom was stupid, mom and dad. I don't know. Because mom and dad, that's their assumptions. That's their vision of what's wise. Now, they may say it's God's idea, but in many cases, it's you putting your idea into the mouth of God and then saying this is wise. And Christian parents love to do that. You can't do this, Johnny. You can't do this, little Susie. Why? Because it's the wise thing to do from the mouth of God. Well, no, it's you who don't like me doing that, and you're putting that into God's mouth. So now you have spiritual justification for telling me I can't listen to this, or I can't watch this, or I can't go here, or I can't do this, because you don't stinking like it. But you got to have God on your side. And we see this in politics. Have a political ideology, bring God into it. Now you have spiritual justification for your political ideology. And now you can say that God is on our side. Now you're making God on your side. All you do is create a God in your own image and then use that God to justify your own perspective of saying what is wise and what isn't wise. And if your kids may not see the game you're playing, but anybody with a brain can see the game you're playing. And I watched this game get played against me countless times in certain elements of Christianity. Hey, you cannot listen to contemporary Christian music because it's of the world. That beat is of the devil. God condemns it. You're loving the world. You ungodly pagan. Repent and listen to, well, the music I tell you is right. Now, you can't listen to Christian music on a Saturday. Oh, no, not contemporary Christian music because you're being worldly and ungodly. But don't call my house and leave me alone because for the next 15 hours, I'm going to be watching college football because that is godly. That is righteous. How about you're a stinking, lying hypocrite who uses God because you don't like music, but you love football, so somehow God hates the music you hate, but loves the sports you love. Just shut up. Oh, Christians tick me off with this nonsense. We have wisdom. No, it's your own stinking opinions that you call wise, and then you bring God into it to justify it so you feel morally superior. I could not go to a movie theater. If I went to a movie theater, I would be kicked out of the Bible Institute. So then I go to the pastor's house one Friday night, and I see on the table this very large stack of, wait for it, movies that they rented from Blockbuster. So I can't go to the movie theater because that's ungodly, but I can go to Blockbuster and rent countless movies. I cannot listen to contemporary Christian music because that's worldly, but I could watch JFK by I think Oliver Stone directed that movie. I can watch Beverly Hills Cop with Eddie Murphy, but I can't listen to DC Talk. I can't listen to Petra because I'm ungodly. The epitome of wisdom, let me tell you. I saw Christian youth directors and Christian parents burning their kid. You cannot bring secular music into this house. It's ungodly. And mom and dad is sitting there watching secular television programs. Oh, wait. So you get to watch the secular stuff you want, but your kids cannot listen to secular music. How about you're not wise? You're just liars who all you want to do is tell other people what they can do because you don't like it and you want to justify your stinking self. When it comes to Christianity, just shut up about wisdom. It's full of just contradictory nonsense, as all of us are. And I wonder why. Oh, because we have a sinful nature that causes us to do what? Evaluate our opinions, use God for our own benefit, and we are lying hypocrites. And I include myself right there in that mix. So teaching wisdom is not like teaching math. You can't objectively demonstrate 2 plus 2 equals 4 with wisdom claims. Instead, wisdom teaching equals transmitting tradition plus interpretation plus invitation to live in light of it. So when you're teaching wisdom, you're teaching a tradition, a system, you're adding your own interpretation, and then you're inviting everyone else to live a part of what you now has defined as wise, because you get to determine what is wise if you're the teacher or if you're the parent. Now, agreement on what counts as wisdom is always rooted in worldview, community, or authority. If you're the authority, you get to determine what's wise. And if you're not the authority, you just get to shut up and listen to what they tell you. So which means the article, AI now goes back to the article, misses the point. No one can directly teach wisdom in a universally accepted way. We can only pass on our tradition account of wisdom and hope it is received. So AI, I tell AI I'm still conflicted by some of the things in the article, because while AI is giving me this stuff, I was still looking at the article. And AI says, AI can deliver wisdom lessons. You absolutely can have AI generate daily wisdom lessons. It can use the Socratic method, asking probing questions. It can pull from scripture. It can pull from philosophy. It can pull from literature. And it can pull from cultural proverbs. It can contrast views, present case studies, and invite reflection. In this sense, AI is already doing what humans mean by teaching wisdom, presenting traditions of wisdom in structured, sound ways. AI can do what people can do, so don't tell me AI can't do it. So AI says, now the issue here, though, is back to what we've already discussed. Wisdom is whether or is wisdom transferable like knowledge? Hearing a proverb, does that equal becoming wise? The Bible itself seems to stress this tension. This is AI. Proverbs 26:9. Like a thorn bush in the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of a fool. You can repeat wise sayings without embodying them. And I'm going to look at Proverbs 26:9 just to make sure that, because I did not verify everything in this response by AI. So let me verify. Yes, Proverbs 26:9, as a thorn goeth up into the hand of a drunkard, so is a parable in the mouth of a fool. Wisdom tends to be confirmed through living, failing, reflecting, repenting, trying again. AI can teach, don't be prideful, but the becoming humble part happens only in life. So AI can tell me, don't be prideful. Here's all the negative things about pride, but it can't make me humble. Nothing can make me humble. Other than what? Failure, reflection, growth. So AI can teach wisdom the same way humans do, by pointing to it, reasoning about it, and asking questions. But just like human teachers, whether the student actually becomes wise is another matter. And I'll just stop right there. So, and I got like, back and forth with AI. I went on for like an hour with AI over this subject. You can see my frustration. So here's what I'm going to say. AI can teach and present information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in many cases far better than any teacher. We've put AI against sermon after sermon after sermon. In every single case, AI has beat every sermon. Handles the text better, more hermeneutically sound, logically sound, theologically sound. And in many cases, AI is the one pointing out all the errors within the sermons. So we've done that test, and maybe we'll do some more of that before 2025 comes to some type of end. But I'm telling you, you can run from AI. You can try to say, don't use AI in education. You can sit there and try to create your little anti-AI bubble, but it's not going away, and it's only going to develop. And whatever AI is today, it's not going to be the same a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. The Pandora's box has been opened. There's no closing it. I don't know where it's going. I don't know how fast the developments are going to occur, but I'm telling you, they're going to occur at rapid speed. So you can either just put your head in the sand and ignore it, or you can try to say, I got to figure this thing out and figure out what it can do, can't do, what it does, and what it doesn't do. And some of the listeners have been emailing me, and they've been putting AI through all kinds of tests, and they've determined what they think it does well and what they think it does poorly. And that's good. That's what everyone should be doing in 2025. But let me just see here. I'm going to go here. Okay, so I'm going to ask AI, please give me an example of you giving me a daily lesson of wisdom that is designed to help me become more wise. All right, let's see what AI does here. Now, AI is going to start this from kind of a biblical theological perspective. So this is what AI says. Today's theme is patience and perspective. The end of a matter is better than its beginning, and patience is better than pride. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 8. Now, I didn't ask it to verify anything, so you know what we have to do? We have to verify. We have to verify. You have to verify everything, class. Especially if you find things in a Christian book that makes claims about history or scripture or Greek words or Hebrew words. Okay. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 8. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, and patience in the spirit is better than the proud in spirit. All right. So then it gives me a Socratic question. Why do you think we often rush to judge situations before they're played out? Can you think of a recent decision where you acted too quickly and only later saw the full picture? Now, those are good questions. Now, if I wanted to, I could take those questions. I could ask AI to enter into kind of a Socratic method mode and I could give it my answer, and then AI would go back and forth with me over the answers to my questions. Cross-tradition insight. Stoic wisdom. No great thing is created suddenly. Jewish proverb, patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. Modern psychology, delayed gratification is strongly linked to long-term success and well-being. What do you notice about the convergence of these voices across the centuries? Practical exercise for today. Pick one moment today where you feel irritated, rushed, or impatient. Pause, take 2 slow breaths, and ask, what might this look like if I wait until the end before judging it? At the end of the day, reflect, did waiting change how you responded? Closing thought. Wisdom isn't just knowing that patience is good. Wisdom is practicing patience when you want to give in to irritation. Each time you pause and wait, you're forming a wiser self. Now, it then asked me, do you want me to build a 7-day plan for teaching you wisdom? So AI is already ready to jump in. There you go. Now, guess what? AI did that in 5 seconds, gave me a lesson on wisdom. Now, you can say, well, it's not this, it's not that. You can go in and say, well, I need you to make it more. I need you to add more, make it longer, make it more in depth. So there you have it. A Christian article basically claiming wisdom cannot be taught by AI. And I will argue that wisdom cannot be taught by anyone. However, the way we talk about teaching wisdom, AI can do the exact same thing people can, in fact, do it better. And I just gave you an example, and it did it quickly, fast, just like that. Now I've left it in your capable hands. Now you can argue and you can debate with yourselves. Okay? And you can try to determine. And guess what? The arguing and the debating and struggling with this concept will at least, be hopefully beneficial. And that's kind of what wisdom is struggling and debating and questioning and thinking and doing so. All right. I'm going to stop right there. Thank you for listening. You say, well, that's not really much of a dramatic conclusion. I think it's the perfect conclusion. I just gave you an example of what AI can do. And then now you can, compare and contrast. And I'm supposed to leave it to you. That's what I'm supposed to do. So enjoy the discussion and the thinking. All right. Everyone have a great day. God bless.